Honestly, so I'm a fire sign, so I'm gonna definitely check it out. There's nothing that scares me. I'm gonna go see what's going on. I'm like, wait. I gotta know more. I'm curious, but I'll definitely be prepared. Because as we saw in Us, they're not so nice. I'm Meosha Bean. I'm a filmmaker, entrepreneur, director, podcaster, and a creator. The interest in filmmaking began, oh God, when I was a child. My brother was in TV film production. He was someone that I looked up to, and so he had this VHS camcorder, and I picked it up, and I just was so fascinated with it. I would just set it down and record, myself being all these characters. But the camera really became my friend, because I'm the child, I'm the baby of the family. That was when I as they say, the bug was, I got bit by the bug. I think for me, it was Alfred Hitchcock was why I was like super drawn into the horror genre. I remember renting the Alfred Hitchcock Presents series one summer at 16 with my mother, and I just was like, I fell in love with his format. I just felt like he was beyond his time. I felt like he was so light years ahead cinematically, storytelling wise. I felt like it was timeless. And I wanted to emulate that as a filmmaker. It was like, whatever he's doing, I want to do that. So I started doing short films from then. I started making them because I was like, we like the short form. It's cheap. You can get some friends, put some cool concept together. I just thought that was really exhilarating. So I started doing it. My YouTube channel started to grow, and so I started getting more confidence in making shorts because I would get so much feedback. And I'm just like 16. I'm just like, oh my God, people are like leaving, oh, this is really interesting. For me, I really like psychological horror, kind of like the little bit of diced in reality, but also a little like mind bending, like your Inceptions or your American Psycho, where it has to do with something like mental, with the brain. And I always find stories like that very fascinating. So if I can mix the two, horror and psychological, together, it's the perfect blend, I think. I was actually going through a pretty tough time emotionally. I lost someone in my family, so I had to put these feelings and emotions somewhere. And I knew creatively this was a great way to, like, a creative outlet, to get rid of all these emotions that I was feeling at the time. And so Miss Pepper came about. I just felt like, okay, Miss Pepper, she has like such a time crunch to finish her story, her final novel, and she's really depressed. What would a writer who's on a crunch time, who's also in a really depressive state, who lost someone, how can they get this project out as they're going through the darkest time of their life? And I put a little of my own emotions in there. There's a scene in there I cried and I got really vulnerable. And, we always get this thing in society, well, you want to hint, we want a happy ending. And I think sometimes the reality is we don't always get a happy ending. It's a love-hate relationship with acting journey, honestly. Went to Toronto Casablanca's acting and modeling talent agency when I was 15, 14 years old. And then I graduated and did commercials in my early teenage years. But then I had some bad experiences, and it made me kind of back off a little bit from acting. I love it. It's a great form of creative expression, but I just feel like it's unfortunate that we have to live in a world where we can't just come to work. We have to deal with people that are in this business that have different types of agendas that are not so nice and great. Working around that and trying to like avoid those things. So I felt like film is the way to, having your own company, production company, doing it yourself. You have some type of control of the atmosphere that you want to be around. So that's kind of what made me realize to do create MVB Films productions, and partner up with different companies, whether that's short form, music videos, features, so that I know that the environment that I create is a safe space. But I did something top of this year. No, last year. It's called Project Paranoia, which is, a fantastic crew of people, great friends. Francesco Monti, who's the director. Acting is a journey. I might, slowly but surely, am I getting back into it? We'll see. Maybe I'll make something a couple years from now. Me, myself, and I was a fun one because I have a fascination for doppelgangers. I just think those storylines are always exciting and creepy at the same time. What if you did see yourself, the shadow version of you? Would you be curious to figure out more, find out more? Would you just let it go, or would you kill each? Like, would it be a rival? Just like Us, that Jordan Peele did, a great, fantastic film. They always say that we have a version of us out there somewhere, but we're lucky to meet it, find it. Honestly, so I'm a fire sign, so I'm gonna definitely check it out. There's nothing that scares me. I'm gonna go see what's going on. Like, wait. I gotta know more. I'm curious. But I'll definitely be prepared, because as we saw in Us, they're not so nice. There's one that I did so many years ago, and I was it was like early, when I was like not a professional, or would consider myself a professional, and I deleted it because I was so embarrassed, but someone re-uploaded it and added it to like one of their favorite shorts. Oh God, it was my dad, and he was the killer with an axe, and they just thought it was interesting, and I was just thinking to myself, like, well, for me, I think cinematically, like, if it doesn't hold up over the years, toss it out. I would say the first one I got was the New Jersey Film Festival. When I was super young, I got the call that I won, and I was thinking, like, wow, I can do this. Like, it is a possibility. It definitely gave me the boost and confidence to continue on and submitting them. But I'd say for me, what was really, really cool was when I was mentioned at a TIFF convention and the conversation for TIFF, and I was just like, whoa, that's crazy. The producer mentioned my name amongst fellow women in film, filmmakers, and I just thought, wow, you just never know who discovers your work or who connects with it, and for whatever reason, it's out there. When I get awards, I don't really sit there and celebrate it. I'll get it, I'm like, oh, cool, all right, what can I do to better myself? I've always been that person of like, all right, what's next? And I'm trying to learn to live in the moment more, but working on it. MVB Films started back in 2003. Shout out to my parents. Thank God for my parents. They're such a supportive pair, and even in the craziest adventures and things I wanted to discover and kind of ventures I wanted to go down, they were very like, okay. Even if they didn't fully understand, they were like, we support you fully on your dream. I was talking to a mentor at the time, and he was telling me, like, you have to have something that you own. I call it the concept of the Wizard of Oz effect. It's like the man behind the curtain, and then like what's really actually going on. You're like, oh, so this is not the reality that I was told. We're off to see the wonderful wizard, and the wizard is actually just a regular schmegular guy. But we have this thing in our head that thinks they know all, and it's like, oh wait, actually no. I should build my kingdom as well. MVB Films has given me a sense of freedom. Okay, I can create when I want, how I want, and put it out there. However, because we live in a time now where social media is booming, YouTube, you have all these outlets, distribution companies are online, they're doing streaming now, so there's no excuse not to get your work out. I got into music videos and shooting music videos for artists just to get my name out there. A lot of people in the business. Then I was like, okay, how can I build this name up? So then I started to do feature films and work with different production companies, whether they're indie, and we would collaborate. We go 50-50 in the contract or whatever the case is, create that project together. My background's cinematography, so I shoot a lot of films. A lot of people would hire me to shoot features. So my production company would be named on part of that project or that feature, that film or whatever, because I shot the movie or shot, the series or whatnot. So it's crazy because it's like I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, I've created so many projects Church Hurt was actually produced under MVB Films Productions, and it's audio form, so branching out to different type of like creative outlets. I got to be a camera operator on this music video shoot called it was called Can't Break Me Down by Billy Idol. It was such a fun shoot, and I mean, just to work with such a legend, was just incredible. And he was full of energy, and I was just like, what is this guy on? He doesn't age. I just had so many questions, like, what are you taking? Where is the fountain of youth? There's a scene in the music video where there's mirrors, all around, and he's inside, and the actress is inside as well. And learning not to get each other's with the camera was a challenge, but we had such a great director to guide us. But it was such a fun shoot, and that will forever be a memory because we spent 24 hours with Billy Idol. I went to Colorado after Florida because I was a little nervous. I still didn't really fully believe in myself, if that makes sense. I didn't think I had all the tools or knowledge to do the Hollywood thing. So I went to Colorado instead, took a pit stop, stayed there for 2 years, shot a few things there, but nothing too crazy. And then I got this like crap job working there in Colorado, and it was literally a surreal moment. We were on break. And I looked around and everything went in slow motion, and I looked around and I looked at everybody, and I was thinking to myself, like, what am I doing? This is not me. Like, it's now or never. Like, we're wasting time. This is not the reality we wanted. So I got my car, took everything out, and I drove to California right after that. And that's when I was like, we're gonna do this, even if we don't know what to do. It started in 2020, and it was during the pandemic because, as everyone else, we're locked in and really no outlet. As creatives, we need an outlet. I think that if we're not getting it, we're gonna kind of go a little bonkers. And I did. I was talking to plants for a little bit in the house, and I was like, this isn't healthy. I had that idea. I called my friend Cyrus Webb, who's an amazing radio host, I think out in Mississippi. I called him and I was like, hey, just let me run by, this by you. Like, do you think it's a crazy idea to start a podcast? I have some ideas. I want to talk about these things. I've just been having a lot of these kind of ideas on my heart. How do I go about them? And he gave me some really good direction and what to do. So I started it. I took his advice, bought the equipment like he told me to do. And I had no idea who kind of guessed, but because of the film world, I just know a lot of people. So I went within the genre and things that I know is like entertainment. I have a lot of people that I've worked with, actors, filmmakers, camera operators, people that I would think have interesting stories and how they got started. So I started with that, and then it just kind of grew and stuck. I grew up a PK kid, preacher's kid. Very much church was the foundation of it all, and still is. My perception is a little different now that I'm older, that I can see with my own goggles instead of through someone else's lens. I feel like that's very important to remember, and this if you're going down any path, if you're of enlightenment, of understanding of God. Church Hurt came about because a friend of mine who I went to school with, Christian private school with, committed suicide a year ago due to Church Hurt. So one of his friends from the church that he belonged to, I reached out to him. He told me about what happened, and I told him, like, I've known him all my life, and he's just been a really good friend of the family for so many years. And he told me, they both belong to the church, and that was just like brother. And they were at this church for 10 years. And he told me the whole story, and it was just mind-blowing. The horror that he went through with this church. Like, it's psychological. You don't know sometimes when someone's manipulating you. And especially master manipulators who hide behind a God or behind a pulpit to say, oh, in God's name, do X, Y, and Z. I just felt a need to tell the story because this is a universal feeling, trauma that a lot of people deal with. It happens. And so I hope it heals and that it helps bring some type of clarity to your story. So that's the hope. It's called Action Camera Cash, and it's for, entrepreneurs, filmmakers, people that either are starting or wherever you are in your journey of creativity, whether you're a cinematographer, actor, director, whatever, producer, editor, that you can take away some things that helped me throughout my journey of figuring out how to sustain yourself and also having that creative world, that creative life, and merging the two. Because I feel like sometimes we're never really taught how to do the things. They're like, oh, do this, but like it costs X, Y, and Z. Being able to have multiple streams of income where you can also be self-sufficient in being able to create the things that you want to create at the capacity you want and level you want to create it. And then I have Unbounded Horizons, a children's book that I wrote. Honestly, adults, if you like, just like you can do and be whatever you want to be. Horror Noir was produced by Shudder. The documentary was highlighted basically talking about African Americans' journey from the beginning of Oscar Mescal, who is the first recorded African American director, to where we are now with Jordan Peele, who won an Oscar for Get Out, which is in a horror genre. That kind of arc. One of the producers of that was a follower of mine for many years. We were friends on social media, just saying hi and here and there and checking in on me. And she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, how would you feel to talk about a film, talk about topics about like Black exploitation, but through the horror genre lens?" And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but that's kind of how I live my life. It turned out to be something that was just so awesome and fun. At the time I was like, whoa, what's all this? Like, what did I walk into? The premiere was insane. And they're like, oh, come on, get to do an interview. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm in this project. You know what I mean? Like crazy, like Keith David from The Thing and Rachel True from The Craft. And Rachel True and I sat next to each other doing the premiere, and we had conversations as we're watching it, and she would nudge me. She's like, Meosha, that's you. I was like, oh, this is crazy. I was like, Rachel, that's you. Now I look back on it, it'll forever be one of a monumental moment and honestly humbling experience to be a part of, to talk about this story and to say that I'm a part of history. Kind of nuts. Be proud of who you are. I feel like it's important to show people that maybe don't believe that they can do something, and say, hey, I'm that one person that actually did it, so it's possible for you too. So that's what I mean, is just being able to speak to that and not be afraid of the machine, the powers that be, that say, well, you shouldn't do it. Be an outlier, is what I say.